All right, you ready, sir?
Yep.
Yeah, because we had Jim Penders on, David, and he talked about they upped the roster limits and scholarship deal, and he's like, that doesn't help us.
Well, they actually reduced his roster limits,
but you still can't. Right?
Limits.
You said, and you'd have to do that for every sport, correct?
They have a different roster limit for every sport.
Right, but he was talking about scholarships.
Right.
You even if you have, how many scholarships? There's just not enough money in the budget. So my question to you is, would any of these proposed legislations of getting rid of some of these longstanding rules and getting rid of them, would that help you financially with the roster sizes and things like that to give more scholarships and pay more athletes?
No.
Short answer.
That's the short answer. That's what I was getting at.
There's nothing that the NCAA is doing that is providing us more money. So typically, these rules cost us more. Rev share costs you more. More financial aid, no financial aid limits cost you more. Reduction in rosters. We're going to have about a little north of 40 participation opportunities. And when I say that, this is one of those educational things. There are certain student athletes that are counted multiple times, like track and field. So if you compete in indoor and outdoor track, that's like, even though you're one person, it's counted as 2 participation opportunities. So, we're going to lose over 40 participants over the course of the year. There's a modest reduction in costs just on a per head basis, because obviously we provide a lot of support services to all of our student athletes. And so, how does that touch, strength and conditioning or academics or all these different areas? It's very modest, but most of these things are not driving significant economic savings.
So one thing I noticed in the proposal from the NCAA, which we're trying to get ahead of things with the approval of the House settlement that could be happening any day now. The NCAA has proposed a bunch of different rules that are kind of new to the landscape just because of what's been new to the landscape as far as NIL or transfer or revenue sharing. And the one thing I circled in the articles that I've read is the proposal of $20.5 million for a cap for the schools to use. How real is that cap, and does that help still in some kind of competitive balance that I know is going to be a topic of conversation in the next 5 years?
Yeah, the cap has been well known. It's been discussed for quite a while. I think the only thing I can tell you, Ben, is that I hope it's a real cap, and that I hope that there is some structure around this in a way that, every school will be able to operate within that cap and spread the money out however they want to, however much they have. But the cap is the cap, and there's not going to be a lot of what could be referred to as cap circumvention and figuring out, different ways to circumvent the cap. Because if that is the case, then, I'm not sure how viable or important a cap is if you can just figure out a different way to circumvent it. So I am very, very hopeful for everyone's sake that there's some teeth to these rules and how they will enforce institutions' ability to stay within the cap.
As far as like GMs and things like that, does that go per sport, or is that just like a general manager of the athletic department? And I'm getting at Uconn men's basketball program is adding a new coach, and there's talk that Tom Moore might step upstairs, things like that. Could that be across the board, or is that just for like all departments?
Well, Tom's office is already upstairs in the
upper management. What a wise guy. I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
I was taking it more literally.
I know. I appreciate you.
Yeah, I mean, look, all this is relatively new. I think, there's a lot of conversations relative to how we evolve as an enterprise. I think the idea of GMs, it's really a testament to the fact that there is a lot of different type of needs around revenue sharing. I would tell you that, I don't think our coaches are necessarily the best ones to be out there negotiating with agents representing these prospective student athletes, or even the retention of current student athletes, because the negotiation piece relative to money could create hard feelings. And you don't necessarily want that to interfere with a coach-student athlete relationship. So there is new aspects to our industry that, whether you want to call it a GM or what have you, there's going to be a need for a modification to how we approach things. We have actually worked with Store Central, who's a third-party entity that is really in existence to support Uconn athletics. They've hired an agent to help with all of this, and he's a professional agent, and he's going to, be there to help support and represent Uconn athletics down the road as these rules evolve. But you need someone that has professional experience, because you're talking about dealing with, in some cases, hundreds of different agents. I mean, I'm not sure the total number of our student athletes that have representation, but if we have close to 600 student athletes, it's certainly a third of them.
It does seem like we're adding staff to not just UConn, but everywhere across the landscape of Division I college sports. You just made an announcement a couple hours ago. A press release just came over that Bill Guerrero has been named to the Senior Associate Athletic Director position for Financial Affairs. I'm sure that's more than what we're even talking about. That's probably like facilities and just a bunch of other stuff as far as getting money for your operations in so many different ways. But talk about Bill, and I love how he's a grad of UConn and how he's been around for some time, but his role and why he's so good at it.
Yeah, Bill's really a CFO. He's operated as a CFO at multiple universities, most recently at Bridgeport. He's coming to us, as you mentioned. He's an alum. He's a season ticket holder. He's a donor. He's very passionate about UConn and UConn athletics, and we're $100+ million organization now, and we've been partnering with the university to provide support for our financial area, but we really needed someone day to day that could come in and help us administrate all of the financial activity. And it is extremely diverse. And then you add in this new piece with revenue share. It was just critically important that we have someone day to day that has the bandwidth and experience and expertise that Bill brings to us from his many different stops. So we are very, very fortunate to have someone like Bill. But he's, his title is what it is for various reasons, but basically he's going to operate as our Chief Financial Officer.
Talking to David Benedict, Athletic Director for the University of Connecticut. Let's talk some women's softball at UConn. 6-game winning streak. They're 28-14 overall, 14-4 in the conference. How successful has this program become?
Yeah. Hey, listen, Laura has done an amazing job since we hired her. She quickly, although she got here, and I think her first season was COVID, so she had a quick end to her first season. We've just consistently gotten better. We're a conference championship level program, although we have not won the tournament championship yet. We've won the regular season multiple times. We put 40 runs on the board, I think, this past weekend between our three games, which, I told her one of the questions that I had for Laura in the interview process is I said, how do you feel about the long ball? And she's like, well, I'm more of a put the ball in play and move runners. And I said, well, I'm good with that too, but when you hit home runs in softball, it just is a lot easier. And having the opportunity to spend some time in the SEC and see really, really high-level softball, the two major differences between the best teams were obviously pitching. and then teams that could hit the ball over the fence, because it just makes a difference. And when you get into a really high level game, one hit can change the complexity of the game. So look, I'm really excited to see how things play out. We obviously have a goal to win the regular season and the Big East Tournament Championship, which would provide us the opportunity to get to the NCAAs, because unfortunately, similar to that of some of our other sports in the Big East, we're a one-bid league in softball. We just don't have the top to bottom strength that's necessary to put it in an at-large. So it makes you have to really be good over a 4-game stretch in the tournament. But I'm excited. We're really banging the ball around. I mean, we've got a transfer that came in, and she's, I think, 5th right now in the country in home runs. She was National Player of the Week. I mean, we've got some really talented kids, and so if you haven't had the opportunity to come out and experience the facility and experience this team, you're definitely missing something.
I was out there this weekend, and I got schooled on something I didn't know about on the campus of stores that goes on from time to time, and I think you're going to have another one this Saturday. So I was there for the baseball game. By the way, Coach Pender's boys, 8 in a row, they think they've found something. They've gotten some wins as of late. Got a game tonight at the Duncan Park, downtown Hartford against UMass. And then tomorrow on our airwaves, they'll knock our show off. By the way, Uconn taking on Army on the campus of stores. So I got there. I couldn't get a parking spot, and I'm over there at Toscano Ice Forum. Huge parking lot, in the first lot over closest to the baseball diamond, completely booked dibs. Couldn't get any spot. Had to drive around to the other side of Toscano, still kind of full, but I finally found a spot. I'm like, man, are we all here for this Seton Hall baseball finale, like to watch the Pirates get swept? Kinda. The tailgates for women's lacrosse. I had no idea this went on. Like, it was party central over there at Toscano Ice Forum. They have a huge following. I had a really good view of the game too, just to where I was at in the press box at Elliott. Dominated Xavier, just kicked the crap out of them. Tell me about this program, and it seems like, man, they have got such a following with their friends and family that go to all the games.
They do. Lacrosse is a big team, and so you have a lot of individual athletes. And, I mean, obviously the weather has quickly turned, and we went from, snow, I think, a couple weeks ago to some really beautiful weather.
To 80 today. Yeah.
We have a lot of parents that are affiliated with different teams that, because of the new facilities and because of some of the additional surface parking lots, it's hard to it's hard to tailgate in a parking garage or a deck, whatever you want to refer to it as. And, so it's nice. And we, we love the fact that we can provide those opportunities and experiences to our parents and fans. So, obviously the Sons of Nutmeg, that, they tailgate during hockey season, they tailgate during football season. So it's not just parents, but the parents are driving a lot of that activity, and, we love to see it.
As far as the basketball, we've had a couple of guys. We had one guy decommit from Uconn men's hoops. What kind of stuff does that create for your office when did they call you? Did they talk to Coach Hurley and staff? I mean, how does somebody decommit from that letter of intent?
Yeah, it's different than it used to be. And for incoming prospects, if you're on our campus already, the way to decommit is to go into the portal. If you don't show up to campus yet, you just call up and let your coaches know you're decommitting. I mean, obviously, you could expect that probably didn't come out of the blue. And I think when you look around the country and you see prospects that are coming out of the portal, especially older, experienced ones, and they show up on campuses, sometimes there's going to be an impact to that. And so, I'm not here to say what exactly the situation was, but I think it would be relatively easy to assume that, when you bring, older experienced transfers in, you're probably not bringing those individuals in to sit on the bench. And so when you have freshmen that are coming in, regardless of, how talented they are, that have expectations to play, and they see experienced people coming in, regardless of what the sport is. They may see that as something that impacts their ability to get on the court in this case. And so, not surprising, no different than at UCLA. I mean, you're seeing that basically UCLA and Tennessee are trading quarterbacks.
Yeah.
They decided to bring in the Tennessee quarterback, and the individual that they brought in the previous portal window is going back to Tennessee, because I think the individual was from Appalachian State. Yeah. But this is just a byproduct of the free agency market. And when coaches, regardless of sport, bring in older, experienced individuals, and you're a younger person on a team, you may decide that, well, look, they're doing that for a reason. That's a message to me, or they feel like they got better, and so maybe I should look elsewhere. Whether or not that's the right attitude, that's what you're seeing a lot of. Versus, okay, that's fine. I'm going to compete. And I'm going to be the best I can be, and hopefully that's good enough to find my way on the field or the court.
I am going to jump for joy if I see Chase Lunn off the board this weekend. Offensive tackle for Uconn is a drafty prospect to the NFL. It's for some reason, man, Uconn's got a lot of O-line, a lot of D-line running around the NFL.
Big boys.
Hopefully they got another one in Chase. I just think Chase has worked his butt off, especially the last couple of years, to get this opportunity. But what are your thoughts? Do you think he gets off the board over the weekend?
I would hope so. I mean, look, Chase is a great kid. He's got a lot of starts under his belt, so it's not like you can't watch film on this kid. Chase graded out really highly throughout the year. He's got a great body. He's going to continue to develop physically. But the thing I like most about Chase is, Chase came to Uconn. I think we were his only Division I offer, and he could have had opportunities to leave and go other places, but stayed at Uconn and was part of helping us get this thing turned around. So, very excited for Chase. I can't imagine that he doesn't get drafted just because of the number of game reps that he's had, and he's played well. He's a big body.
6'8", 305, man. I mean,
he doesn't carry a lot of extra weight,
right?
And so I can't imagine that someone's not going to take a flyer on him. Is he ready to go start in the NFL? I'm not here to say that, but I can't imagine Chase isn't going to be drafted.
Way to enlighten us so much every week.
There's more coming in the next couple of weeks.
I know. Thank you, David Benedict. You are the best, and you're very patient with us because it's like 5-year-olds asking you questions some days. So we appreciate
hopefully I make
you.
it up to the second floor.
That's unbelievable, man. You know what I meant.
One day. Keep working
I'm going
hard,
to the
man.
basement.
All right.
I'm going to the basement,
Good.
guys. We'll see you guys.
All right.
Thank you,
Thank you,
sir.
David.
Bye-bye.